Right. Welcome everyone to this PIMVendors.com webinar. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm the co-founder of PIMVendors.com. And today I'm joined by Sheph and Boyum on a webinar on the configuration of product data and especially how Perfion PIM helps you in that respect. Before we dive into that topic and before we go into it in full, first, some quick housekeeping where this is a live session, so you can interact with us live. You can interact with us on any channel that we are live on. So that is on LinkedIn, where probably most of you will be, but also on YouTube and on Riverside, this platform as well. Just drop your questions right into the chat on the right-hand side, and I'll try to weave that into the conversation and ask those questions to Martin or to Adam, bring it to their attention, and we'll answer your questions live. And if we're unable to do so live, we'll definitely pick them up after our conversation has ended here. We are recording this session, so if you have to drop out early or you can't join the full session, you can watch the recording, which we'll publish on our site and also be made available on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So follow us there follow our profile pages there, and we'll be sure to share the recording with you there as well. With that out of the way, maybe first a quick round of introductions. So I already introduced myself. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm the co-founder of PIMVendors.com. We help customers with their product data challenges, whether that is getting the right clean data in place to fixing the product data process and finding the right tools to serve that process. But I'm joined here today by Adam as well. Adam, could you quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Stephan. I think hopefully some people who are attending the call have seen me before, but if you haven't, my name is Adam, Senior Channel Manager for Boyum IT. As you can tell by the accent, I'm based in the UK and I've been working with Perfion, our PIM solution, in the UK and Ireland for well over 5 years now, actually, and recently transitioned over to help with our Dutch customers and partners, including, of course, Martin, to provide product data solutions for companies that essentially want to deliver a single source of truth and innovate their customers' experience across the board.
Awesome. Martin, can you take over?
Yes, I'm Martin Post. I'm co-owner of Sheph Solutions, and Sheph is a company based in the Netherlands, already for years a partner of Boyum IT Solutions, previous Perfion. Myself, working with PIM and product information already for more than 10 years, and for more than 10 years already having experience with Perfion. And I'm consultant for Perfion as well, and I will show you something of the Perfion solution today in the demo.
Yep, let's fire away. I think as Martin's just alluded to there, many people will hopefully be on this call to see Perfion in all of its glory. And we're not going to show you all of the solution today. We're trying to leave some to the imagination, or some hopefully for you to reach out to us following this webinar and get some further details from, of course, Martin and the Boyum team. But what I do want to do is just give a high-level introduction to what Perfion is and what Perfion can do. So gone are the days of square pegs going into square holes, essentially, when it round holes, should I say, sorry, when it comes to product information management, whether that's data held in numerous spreadsheets, into an ERP solution, or even someone's office filing cabinet. Perfion is a purpose-built platform designed to find, of course, a simple solution to complex product data, and therefore always delivering a modernized approach to enrichment. Make sure your product data, digital assets, support and documents are always the latest and greatest. We utilize the power of automation, such as workflows, dashboards, and some brilliant AI features, which myself and Martin will dive in deeper to later. Making sure that everyone has a role and responsibility, but of course, feeling aligned with the product enrichment process, the likes of role-based access and validation. And then, of course, making sure your products are in the faces of your customers as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Of course, giving your customers that safety and the knowledge that they're getting the right product at the right time every single time. That is a PIM, and I know many who join these webinars will know hopefully what a PIM is if Stephan and the team are doing their job correctly, but that is Perfion in a nutshell. But what we believe Perfion does ever so slightly different to other PIM solutions is really handle that complex product data in a much more simplified and efficient way. But why make it complicated? So ask yourself how you currently might manage your product data. As mentioned before, many of our customers would have held data across a number of different sources, whether that's in your ERP system or spreadsheet, CMS, or even sometimes e-commerce or local files, actually. And all this information may be relevant at one given time, but as soon as it's saved, it's basically out of date. And many different teams within your business might work with many different systems within your business or have lots of scattered processes across the board. But with Perfion, we look to deliver that single source of truth, not just for your product data, but for your teams within your company as well. And many of our customers, as I'm sure Martin will go into a little bit later, work with lots of complex product data. So again, lots of bill of materials, lots of data inheritance, utilizing many different attributes across many different systems that need to be in, a lot of the time, many different industries. So whether that's enrichment, validation, integration, syndication, all of the Asians, and much, much more. We don't just have features, but we have solutions. And within those features and within those solutions, I'm sure there is something for everyone along the way. So let me show you some of those features / solutions now. So let's start off with some key features and what is, in my opinion, one of Perfion's keyest features is the highly configurable 100% standard platform. So a lot of PIM solutions you may have seen previously, they may be open source, they may be configurable, they may be low code, no code, lots of different buzzwords that people use. But what Perfion does have is the ability to customize a system that is built for you without necessarily stepping into the realms of crazy development or the need to have a computer science degree. So it's configuration options. You don't need to do customizations. And of course, you can upgrade that system easily. Every year we have 2 major feature releases, which are driven by our partners and driven by our customers as well, to make sure that you're getting the best and newest information, features, and functionality on the market. So a highly configurable, 100% standard platform built specifically for you and, of course, your products as well. Secondly, we have flexible data modeling, which I'm sure, Martin, you'll be able to jump in and talk about as well. But from my point of view, the ability to have that multi-dimensional data modeling. Every organization has a different product structure and different data requirements. And Perfion's flexible data modeling allows those companies to manage everything from a technical specification to marketing content, packaging information, digital assets, emerging requirements like the likes of digital product passport. The beauty is that the system adapts to your business rather than forcing your business to adapt to the software. And Martin, I'm sure you've had many a time where customers have asked you, Martin, we've got so many different types of data and so many different places where that data needs to be. Maybe some real life examples you've seen where Perfion or that data modeling, again, find a simple solution to it.
Yeah, what we see in data modeling happening is that when the customer is starting with a PIM solution, they always have an idea about what they want to do with the PIM solution. If it's a presentation on a website or having an integration with another solution, I don't care at the beginning. But what we always see happening during the lifetime is that the needs are changing. So the demands to what a PIM should do is also changing, and your data model is sometimes changing. So they start somewhere and they will build up a more complex data structure in the time and over time. And the easy thing of Perfion is that it can adapt, and you can adapt the situation you have at that moment easily to a newer situation. And that's happening in all different industries as well. So if we serve a customer in the textile industry, yeah, they have completely different needs than if you compare that to a customer in the automotive industry, for example. And managing relations to other data entities, that is happening not always at the beginning when they start with a PIM, because then they need the time to build up some basics. But later on, they will continue working with newer data, other data as well. And then you see happening that, for example, integrations with ERP systems are always becoming more important. That's not always at the beginning the most important topic. They have some ideas on it, but once they are used to work with Perfion, they see a lot of other opportunities and solutions possible as well. And that's what we see as one of the biggest advantages of Perfion, because you can easily adapt, and yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah,
I think
over time always.
I think even if you don't want to change from the inside out, there's still regulatory pressure to change from the outside in, right? So even if you think you have a very stable data model from your own organization, you now have all kinds of regulatory changes like the PPWR and the packaging requirements and the digital product passport also mentioned here that, you need to add to your data model to manage all your compliance. So being able to change that flexibly and manage that in an efficient manner using the relational modeling is, I think, very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's indeed what Perfion is doing. And you never know what's being the new kid on the block in regulations, because it's happening and it's changing and there's some expectations and then regulations are changing or postponed, etc. So there's a lot of things going on there. And if you have those basics already in your system, like we can do a lot of things, that's really helpful what we see. And it's also really depending on the different industries as well.
Yeah,
but it's
from my point of view, I totally agree with both of what you're saying. Again, I've never really nailed myself down to one particular industry or one particular. I haven't come from a background within a certain, as you say, automotive or manufacturing or retail, whatever it might be. And it's really impressive to see that regardless of what your products are, regardless of who your customers are, if you've got a certain requirement coming into your business, as you mentioned, Stephan, from the outside, then Perfion and PIM in general is such a flexible solution that we're almost saying, what do you need? We can almost become the chameleon for that particular regulation or particular new requirement that the industry is asking for, really. And again, the data modeling is one flexible thing, but the solution as a whole is another flexible thing, because what we're not trying to do is force you down a road of this is what we do, so you need to do it. It's almost, well, what do you need? And we can almost change our stripes to suit that. But yeah, I feel like there's lots of different ways in which, of course, that data can be modeled. But from my point of view, moving on to the next feature, it's also how can we get that data to be managed? And for many companies, one of the biggest challenges, of course, is maintaining thousands or even hundreds of thousands of products efficiently. And Perfion allows those users to mass update directly with the platform. Teams can utilize the Excel functionality like copy, paste, edit, whatever it might be. But we can also utilize Perfion's purpose-built features to update information across large product sets, dramatically reducing the likes of manual effort, minimizing errors within the system. Because what we want to do is not rewrite the wheel of how people might have previously worked, of course, before a PIM solution, but give them new shiny rims, talking about an automotive reference, to make sure that we aren't changing everyone's lives, but we're making those lives easier and better on a day-to-day basis. And having hundreds of thousands of products and manually updating those products on a daily basis, well, that's a full-time job. Can we reduce that and make people or give people the opportunity to grow into a new market or to go into a new product range or to maybe talk about different ways in which they've wanted to expand previously? By utilizing a PIM solution, that allows you, of course, to have those conversations around the growth that you've always mentioned but might not have had time to do. Next is, again, I don't think, Stephan, you've ever done a webinar in the last however many years which hasn't mentioned this two-letter acronym, but we, of course, have to mention it because, in my opinion, it's quickly becoming one of Perfion's best features. Of course, it's one of the hot topics for PIM in general, but utilizing the AI-supported content generation is massive. It's increasingly becoming important in product content management. Perfion includes, of course, AI support that help generate product descriptions, SEO content, image, alt text, and much, much more. And what's particularly exciting is that the organization also build their own AI-powered workflows using Perfion's dedicated actions environment. So opening up the opportunities for classification, validation, of course, content creation, and even image or video generation as well. And I won't go too deep into some of the case studies in the UK, but we have a customer base in the UK who's basically created an AI generated video describing a product. I won't say what the product is. It's not the most exciting products, but it makes it a lot more exciting when you can create some really cool AI video and image content and allow people to see exactly what they're getting without necessarily having to scroll through images or descriptions. So the likes of AI is, of course, such a powerful tool for everyone, but it's a really powerful tool for Perfion users because It doesn't just quicken the process, it doesn't just standardize the process, it makes it a little bit more exciting along the way. And Martin, I'm sure you've utilized this feature many a time when implementing Perfion for your customers as well.
Yes, you can for text generation. That's interesting. If you have that, you need that for creating product descriptions, etc. That's the easy part. But Perfion, that's maybe one of your next slides as well. But there's some module in Perfion called Actions where you can automate whatever you want actually. But we also use that to connect to all different AI solutions and services you can have. So you can call APIs externally, and you can create whatever workflow you want to achieve. And even it's creating a video, as you mentioned, but you can also do some image creation, etc., and text creation as well. So whatever you want, you can do that actually, and that's a very powerful solution you have on board. So it's not always only the built-in solution AI supported that Perfion have on board, but it's also that you can connect to whatever you want. And because simply you can create whatever you do with AI inside a PIM, as I see it, but the independent AI solutions are growing much faster and developing much faster. So if you can use that powerful solutions instead of building all inside your PIM system, that's even more powerful as I see it, because every customer has different needs on AI. And it's easy to say everybody wants to create text, that's possible. But the more complex part, and which save you much more money and time, is to have a solution which help you in getting better data, more completer data, and also to be more, let's say, different than your competitors. So if everybody's doing the same, then you have the same. So then you're not competitive anymore. So it's seeking for what can AI do for you, and how can a PIM solution help you in automate those processes and implement that in a process. That's the challenge as I see it, and that's where Perfion has the right tools for.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Stephan, just to interject, go back to the original. Of course, what this webinar is all about and what we're discussing is that configuration by design. So what we believe is that configuration comes from the ability for us to allow you as a customer or you as a company to do in the PIM solution what your company is wanting and requiring, really. And with the AI content generation, with the actions environment, with the ability to build workflows, what we're doing is giving you a tool or giving you a vehicle to get to a destination by configuring a certain new feature or new, hot topic, for want of a better phrase, which therefore allows you to, again, grow, expand, and configure your company to a better process.
I think what I like about the integration of AI is that it is both like directly integrated when it comes to the text generation, which is, I think, the most obvious way to integrate any large language model, but that it also allows the flexibility of adding your own workflows or AI capabilities with the actions. So it is both directly integrated and allows for the flexibility to customize if you like.
Totally agreed. And with those workflows usually come dashboards for us. And again, another favorite feature. It feels like I should have a job for Boyum IT, actually, with the amount of features that I enjoy within Perfion. And one of the common questions that businesses always ask is, how do we know that product data is actually ready for publication? And Perfion, of course, addresses that with the dashboards and workflow management. So essentially, teams can gain a real-time visibility into product completeness and readiness. And of course, the workflow rules behind that ensure that products cannot move forward until all of the required information has been reviewed, approved, and enriched appropriately. And you can see here on this screen, you've got the likes of master data, specifications, marketing, translations, and then down below, the ability to publish all of this data across your channels. And it really is that downstream workflow where a product might come in from an ERP, a product might come in from a supplier portal, or it might come in from an Excel document. And what you do is you take that product along its journey from SKU to you, a phrase I've used many a time before, where each department or each stage along that product's journey, what they're able to do is enrich the data which is assigned to them, whether it's marketing or a product team or an IT team or purchasing team, whichever team you decide to have, whichever product. And again, the product can go from 0% to 100%, pass through a number of different workflows and validation stages, and then, of course, be available to go on across all of your channels, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's print publishing, whether it's marketplaces such as Amazon, or whether it's front-facing portals. We have our content store, which is almost a front-facing Pinterest board for some of our customers who may have customers beyond that, like showrooms. We work with a lot of kitchen and bathroom and homeware companies. What they can do is surface their product data on that front-facing content store. But what they do know is it's the latest and greatest. It's the exact product data that their customers are looking for, and it's consistent across the board, regardless of the channel. What Perfion does is get it into the right format, make sure it's got the right information, make sure it's being passed along those workflows, and those dashboards are just a brilliant high-level helicopter overview of people within certain companies being able to see where those products are at.
Yeah, and if you look to the dashboard functionality, if this topic is about the configurable PIM solution, that's also, if you reflect that on the dashboard setup, these dashboards, these widgets you have in your screenshot as well, they interact with the data itself. So if you have products, you can, of course, count the number of products which are having, for example, the right dimensions filled in, or having an image or whatever you want. But these dashboards can also check other data entities in your system. So it's completely flexible to configure and to define what your dashboard should look like. And mainly what we see often in reality is that you don't want to count the number of products you have in your system, because that's not relevant. I mean, it might be interesting maybe for someone, but mostly it's interesting to see which products are not completely filled in, or which products are missing some information which is required actually. And if you look to that, then this kind of dashboarding is really a powerful solution, because you can align it to the different user groups, to independent users if you want, and they have their own dashboard and saying, well, this is actually what I have to do today. I have to come from, in this situation you have on your screen, from 6 to 0, for example, because then my job is done for today and I can go home maybe. But that's actually what you want to tell your users. They should have a tool, because there's a lot of data in the PIM system, but they need to have an access to a dashboard to say, you have to do this today. You have to do some translations. You have to add some images for a product, or you have to maybe to do some other stuff. But that's what this dashboard is really helping in, and that's the configurable part of the PIM solution.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it's almost about how can we get everyone singing from the same hymn sheet, really. And the likes of Excel documents, which as soon as you save, whether it's on a OneDrive, which is of course a better process, or whether it's on your local file, which is not a process we want people to be doing, really, because as soon as that happens, that product data is, one, out of date, and two, hidden away from everyone else that might need to see it. Whereas the likes of dashboards, as you mentioned, Martin, the interactiveness, you can drill down to certain widgets. If someone's going on holiday or they're on annual leave, then you can reassign those products to a different person within the business. And what that allows is for a constant cohesion across the board, where everyone's, as I say, pulling in the right direction, in the same direction, and stopping people from making mistakes when it comes to uploading product data that might not be the correct or latest version of that product data. So, of course, dashboards are such an easy win and a quick win, but they're such a powerful feature within the system, because what they do allow is for everyone to be on the same page.
I think what people underestimate is that PIM is not just a system of record, right? It's not a database or a spreadsheet, or it's not just a database or a spreadsheet where you store all that product data. It's where the action happens. It's where the product data process comes to life. And you need to manage that process if you're doing it not just by yourself, but you have a team or you have multiple roles involved. And having workflows and dashboards is actually the only way to structure that process in a way that it doesn't lead to all kinds of bottlenecks hidden away 3 tabs down, or with your French translation team. This is the way to surface those bottlenecks and make sure that there's actual KPIs, not just, as you mentioned, the number of products you have on record, which is a nice KPI, but it's not an actionable KPI.
Well, yeah, that's it. I think it gives everyone a purpose on a day-to-day basis, really. And the reason why we hope a lot of people are attending this webinar is that they have the likes of bottlenecks or headaches on a day-to-day basis, which is stopping them getting to a stage with their products, or stopping them getting their customers those products quicker and more efficiently. And how can we solve those bottlenecks? How can we make sure something like a dashboard for your whole team is allowing you guys to be, of course, cohesion-wise in the ability to communicate. And second of all, it gives you a reason to log onto the system every day and say, well, this is my task. I know exactly what needs to happen. I'm not going to be said bottleneck in that product enrichment process. But of course, we can go on and on about dashboards and workflows. I'm conscious ever so slightly of time, so we might fly through the next couple to give Martin the best opportunity to show Perfion, of course, in all its glory. But next is of course, that channel management, which I mentioned a little bit previously. But different sales channels, of course, a lot of the time require different product information. And Perfion, of course, makes it easy for that channel-specific content while maintaining a central master record, so to speak. So users can organize different assortments or structures or channel requirements through our intuitive interface, ensuring that every channel receives the right information. So, of course, your Amazons of the world, which I'm sure many of the people on this webinar will understand is notoriously hard to deal with and are always moving the goalposts when it comes to that product attribute requirement. And what Perfion can do is give you exactly what you need or exactly what Amazon might need, put your products in that particular format and export it out to Amazon at the click of a button. The same for Shopify, the same for Magento, for BigCommerce, for Sana, whoever it might be. And of course, getting your product into a print and digital content as well. The channel management side of things is huge because more and more, especially in the B2B space, people are realizing that B2B companies actually want to have a B2C experience when it comes to their products being surfaced. They want to walk into a website or go onto Amazon or the same way they walk into a shop in real life, and they have the best experience. They have the products that they want to buy right in front of their face, and it says exactly what those products are from a consistent point of view. So, of course, that front end ability for Perfion to publish all of the product data across a number of different places is a massive requirement. Of course, that's a feature for us and have for our customers to have. Probably an expansion on those channel managements is, of course, our e-commerce connectors, and you can see some logos at the bottom there, but we're not just working with those 4 logos. We have a brilliant Perfion e-commerce API, but integration into e-commerce is critical. More and more, we are seeing it across, as I say, not just the B2C and B2B space, but companies that may have been traditionally working and having a great base of customers now want to get those products into the face of customers around the world. And from a digital point of view, there's nothing better than an e-commerce solution. And what we do is we offer those ready-made connections into all of the leading e-commerce platforms. As you can see, the likes of Shopify, BigCommerce, Sana, Adobe Commerce or Magento. And again, reducing the implementation time and the consistent product information flows directly to those channels where customers are, of course, buying. So anything you see on your front-end e-commerce store is consistent within the PIM solution. Anything you change within the PIM solution at the click of a button will update in your e-commerce store. And Martin, I don't know if you want to jump in here, but I'm sure you've had many a case where people have worked with an e-commerce solution and updated their product data in that e-commerce solution. They might have worked with an ERP, they might have worked with an Excel, but they don't have that single source of truth to cater to all of it around.
No, it's really helpful if you have those default connectors already in place, because it will save you a lot of time during implementation, setting up a new website. If you look to Shopify, we have some good examples there that data is flowing very easily from Perfion inside to the Shopify setup, and it's the same for Magento. Besides, I think it's worth to mention that there's always a lot of custom websites in the market out there as well, and it's very easy to integrate. It's always a sort of integration discussion, how we do this, how we do that, but we often see that sometimes people are deciding to store or to get some data then from the ERP system, and let flow it actually through Perfion, and then go offer that data to the e-commerce setup as well, because sometimes it's easier to have one endpoint or a simple endpoint where you can get your data from. And in Perfion, that's very easy to do, to create connections with external systems, store data maybe, which is not officially the data you want to have in your PIM, but it can easily go through your PIM. And then we offer that to web connectors as well. And that's, besides those default connectors, it's very easy to integrate with the Perfion API indeed. So that's what we also see happening. And yeah, it's a lot of things out there, but almost all our customers, not all of them, but mostly all of them, they have a website at the end, and maybe one or two or multiple websites, and they have to have a solution where they can easily manage the data going from Perfion to different output channels. And that's indeed that's very, very powerful.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm conscious of time and I want to make sure that we cover as much as possible, but the automated print generation, which previously was my favorite feature within Perfion. Ability to generate a data sheet, a technical specification, a whole yearly catalog on the fly, using our inbuilt report designer to generate all of that supporting documents. And then, of course, plug it into the likes of an easy catalog InDesign solution as well. So what you can do as a company is keep your branding, keep the feel and keep the ethos of who you are from a visual point of view, but make sure that you've got click and drop product data, the latest and greatest, into whether it is a print or digital piece of content, and you're away. Again, a feature that I've always loved since working with the solution, and something that is still a massive priority for a lot of our customers.
I think it's worth to mention, if you have there's report functionality inside Perfion, we also have customers using it for creating their LCA documents and the DOP documents as well. And because those are mostly default documents, easy to set up, and automatically generating all those reports based on change date, etc., doing that every night or every frequency you have, whatever you want. And it saves you a lot of time to maintain those simple documents actually. And that's a powerful solution.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, digital asset management, which we've touched on a few times actually, so I won't delve too deep into this, but it's not just only text and specifications that a PIM solution has to handle. We also need to manage images and manuals and certifications and videos and other digital assets. And Perfion includes, of course, an integrated digital asset management capability and allows businesses to not just surface those assets, but store those assets and organize within the system, of course, alongside their product information. I could talk all day about some of the amazing features within our digital asset management functionality, but you'll have to reach out to Martin and myself after the webinar and we can show you a little bit more of that. Actions, triggers, and scheduling. I know you might talk about this a little bit, Martin, as part of that live demonstration, the ability to pass a product through its enrichment process. But again, this comes back to the automation where you can really, really see a return on your investment. The ability to allow organizations to automate that onboarding, enrichment, but through the likes of validation, approvals, and a syndication process. And again, it reduces that manual intervention. It improves the consistency. And of course, it allows teams to focus on, well, higher value activities, for want of a better phrase. But what you can do is make sure that the triggers for me is a massive thing, because when a certain product gets to a certain stage, maybe previously without a PIM system, it's almost, yes, that's ready to go and it's live on the site. You might look at that site 10, 15 minutes later and there's information missing, or there's an image that's incorrect, or there hasn't been something that's meant to be supporting that product which isn't on there. And what you can do with the likes of triggers and validation and scheduling is that you can keep everyone on that same journey, but make sure each step along that journey there is someone who can click a button, whether it's a Boolean switch or whether the product gets to 100%, or whether there's traffic light indicators, whatever that may be. It's a massive, massive part of companies becoming a lot more consistent and efficient, again, by making sure that everyone has got the right product at the right time.
Yeah, and if you talk about configurable PIM, then this is the action part is a really powerful solution you have actually on board. It's actually a sort of a low-code ETL tooling. You can also see it like that, but you can actually, if we talk to customers, we always say, it sounds simple, but whatever you are thinking about, we can do that with this kind of a solution. So we can get data from outside in Perfion. We can manipulate data inside Perfion and to enrich it, to complete it, to create BOM structures, to actually to do whatever you want, because in Actions you can pick up data, do something with the data, and write it back to Perfion. But you can also pick data from outside, join data, and enrich it, and onboard it again in Perfion.
Yeah.
You can create outputs, you can create call APIs, and etc. You can do so many things there that it's up to your imagination actually, and that's making together with the configurable part of how you create your entities and your attributes. You can do with automation here. You can do actually whatever you want. It sounds simple, but it's also sort of a low-code solution. So a lot of customers are working with the solution themselves as well. And of course, as partner, we have more knowledge about how this can work and should work. But there's a lot of things possible, in a very easy way to achieve, actually.
I think that's massive for me, Martin, in terms of a lot of our customers across the board don't necessarily know that the Actions environment exists. And that's fine, because some customers might not need or might not want to have certain features within the system that require them to maybe go into this low code, no code environment. But what we always do is we always mention that one, a partner such as Sheph can help you with these actions and the development of certain workflows or automations. But two, we want to make sure that customers, just because we're a configurable solution or we're a solution that's out of the box, so to speak, that doesn't mean that you can't create some amazing purpose-built pieces of automation. So again, there's options for both, but we always want to make sure that people know that there's an amazing environment within Perfion, which you can, as you say, Martin, create some brilliant things for your company to make use of and make everyone's lives a lot better and easier along the way. So yeah, the actions environment is massive, and how many hours, I don't know, we could go on about the actions for, but I don't think we've got that long today. I wanted to talk about, of course, ERP. I've mentioned it a few times, and a successful PIM always works closely with an ERP from my point of view. And we, as Perfion, offer that two-way integration between the likes of SAP and Microsoft Dynamics. Some customers will of course still prefer that ERP first process, while actually more and more I'm having conversations with people who are looking for a PIM first approach. We're not precious. However you want to do that is however we will do that for you. If you want to bring products in their infancy from an ERP and then enrich and pass them out to your channels, brilliant. If you want to start the product data process within Perfion and then pass it out to the ERP following that, it's also a possibility with us. We support all of those approaches. And again, I call it the holy trinity of ERP, PIM, and ecom. And we believe if you've got those three systems, then you won't go too far wrong.
Yeah, and this is also having a very configurable part. So if you look to the Business Central solution, actually we can send data from Perfion to whatever table inside the Business Central if you want. And that's the same for SAP Business One and also for F&O, Dynamics 365 nowadays. But it's easy to configure. So if you have entities defined in your PIM solution. For example, if you have a BOM structure created in your PIM, because it's sometimes easier to create all variants of products and they should also have their own BOM structure. We have a customer doing that inside the PIM and then sending all that information directly to their Business Central instance. And that's very powerful because it's just seeking for what is the best, which solution, the ERP or PIM, is having the best functionality for something, and then you define how you want to do that. And then it's easy to send data from PIM to your ERP system in this case.
Yeah.
But that's a really powerful solution, and it's easy to follow because you can configure your PIM in a certain way, but you can also use that data then to send it to your ERP system, which is obviously that ERP systems are quite default, so they have their product and they have a BOM structure, but you cannot maintain a lot of things there, and so you want to keep that in a standard way and to use your PIM data structure to feed those ERP systems, and that's a powerful solution.
I think it's what you're speaking about there, Martin. Is it's purpose-built systems for purpose-built requirements, and I've always said that we don't want to step on the toes of an ERP. We don't want to be an e-commerce solution or a CMS or a WMS. What we want to be is, again, that single source of truth for those systems to do what they're built for. An ERP is built for enterprise resource planning. An e-commerce solution is built for online shopping. A PIM solution is built for product information management. And if either of those systems are doing one of the other, then at some point you might fall over. Whereas what we can do is plug into them systems, and square pegs, square holes is exactly what we're after. But it's all good and well talking about the system. Is there a way of us showing it? And Martin, feel free to take the reins and take over control of the screen, and we'll do a very high level run through of maybe some specific features that may be relevant to some specific companies and roles on this call. And what we can do following that is do a full demonstration if required. But over to you, Martin.
Yeah, can you hit the next slide maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will show you something about how Perfion can be configured. Later on, I will come back to other solutions we have there. In this demo, I will show you how we can create a different entity inside Perfion. It's about packaging and package information, and we will link that data to a product and just showing you how easy this can be done inside Perfion. So I will switch to another screen. So I'm sure you can see my screen right now.
Oh, good.
This is a Perfion demo demo situation where I have some coffee products inside this solution. Yeah, I'm opening the system right now, and it's opening on the dashboard as mentioned before. Well, dashboards are interactive. I won't show you that right now, but if I click on these one of these widgets, it will open the products, for example. What I'm going to show you right now is how we can create a packaging entity here. So I have my data entity stored inside this navigation menu in items. So I'm going to products right now and showing you how it is set up right now. So if I open the navigation on the left-hand side, you will have your categories always on the left-hand side in Perfion, and on the right-hand side, there will be some data. So if I go to my coffee machines and I'm opening that, I will see a sort of a grid view showing you in this situation only 3 products. But if I go to different categories, for example, you will also see that there could be sort of inheritance in use where you can store data on a higher level, which can inherit down on the level you want. So in this situation, you have variants, you have products, and you can put your brand information, for example, on the top level. But that's not what this is about. This is about the package information, but just to give you the idea on how the system will look like. Go back to coffee machines. This is my products, and I have a work mode view right now showing me all data in a grid view. Of course, Perfion is also having an item card. So if I go to the item card and click this item, it will show me all information stored on this product. But since I only want to show the data today in let's say in 2 languages, I will disable the other languages. I have my sort of a navigation in the item card set up here, which is completely custom to set up. It's not that all customers have this same setup. It's possible to set it up whatever you want. And today I'm going to talk about packaging. And as I have it set up right now, there is only a field primary packaging. But what I want to do is I want to create a solution where I can store multiple packaging types, materials used in a product. So how I will do that, I'm logged in as an admin user, and I will go now to my setup of features. And features is sort of a function where you can create all your attributes inside Perfion, and an attribute can also hold a configuration saying, well, I have one entity, I'm creating an entity, and I will align, so I will add some product features attributes to that entity. So I'm now going to look for the entity I want to create, and this is called primary packaging. So I can search here on the left-hand side, and this is my entity I'm going to create. The feature already exists. I decided not to create all the features myself because that will take a little bit more time in this demo, but the features are already in the system, but I will show you how I can create a configuration of it. So go to this feature, and I will now create the configuration, and now there is a sort of a configuration created for this feature, and I can add now the additional features to it, and I have named them all demo because it's easy for me to find them back. Otherwise, I have to remember all the names of the features, and that's not really necessary for right now. So I will add those features now to the configuration by just drag and drop them, and I will do that one by one. So that will take me some time, and this is actually what you can do with every feature inside Perfion. I need to add some additionals one. I also need the product itself to be part of this configuration. And then I have my configuration actually there. And just to show you and to make data very easily visible, I will also do this to show you that this can be visible as well. This would be enough. Okay, so and now what I did is I created an entity called primary packaging, and I said I also put some additional features to this configuration which can hold data. I will show you later on how that will look like. But now to go back, because this is packaging information, what I want to show on a product, I also need to have a solution on the product itself, because my primary packaging is also in the product configuration, and I need to do this as well, because now it will show me a table inside the product configuration. So just to show you now how this looks like, because it's interesting to see that a product can hold all features, all attributes actually, but a product can also hold a different entity behind. So this is what I've done now for the packaging setup. You can see it here. The icon is showing you that this is a table behind. There's also already a solution in the system doing the same for the bill of material if needed, and there are some others as well. Actually, this is how you can configure Perfion. So you can define in the system, I have a product entity, and these features are related actually to this product entity. You can also make use of dependency, saying, well, if a product is in a certain category, this situation is coffee machines, it should have additional features as well, like the cable length, which is obviously feasible for a coffee machine. But if you go to a cup, for example, then you will of course not have a cable length because it's not having a cable at all. So then you will have other information, other attributes as well. So this is how you can easily configure Perfion, and this can be done by the customers, our customers themselves. So it should not be done by somebody doing fancy programming or something like that. It's just configurable by design, so as we call it. So I will now go back to the products to show you that if I go back to products and I go back to this coffee machine, then I will show you that in the packaging information. So if I go here and I will open my work mode again to show you that the packaging information will now have a table. This table is now having some data already, and that's because I already imported the data before I created this situation. But you see that this is now having a data table allowing you to store a packaging type and some additional attributes linked to the packaging type, which you can use, for example, to meet your PPWR requirements as well. And it's very powerful because you can use this and you can add some additional ones here by just right-clicking and add another item and just adding another packaging type. But you can also go back in Perfion, and I'm now in items. So this is the products actually, but you can also go directly to all your packaging information. And if I do that, and I'm just searching now for some data, you will find all packaging information linked to the products in the system. And this is actually, you can see this as a table. And you can also use this table to import data directly. So if you have this data prepared in Excel, for example, it's really easy to import. But you can also use, as mentioned before, that ETL tooling actions to automate the creation of packaging materials. If there is sort of a logic behind, you can create an automation action to fill this data inside the system as well. And that's really making it very powerful. You can also go back to products, for example, and if I now go back and just go back to the coffee machine, and I just want to show you that if I have only one column and I want to show you that the packaging type is filled or not filled, just hang on. I can just create a simple view showing me this is my product, this is my packaging, and if I open this packaging information, it's directly going to the packaging information itself. So access to the different entities linked to a product is a very easy function inside Perfion. Well, just to show you the last situation we have here is maybe also useful to show is if I go back to the details. And you may have noticed already that there is, of course, the packaging information stored to this link to this product, but you can also have the bill of materials. This is completely different entity, differently defined in the system, having different attributes as well. But you can also look to, for example, if you look to DPP data, which is just a solution you can have inside a solution, how you can store the data inside the Perfion solution. You can have data on your product, but you can also have batches of products linked to your major product. So you can see those batches here defined in the system. And if you look in a more deeper level, you can also have your components then linked to it as well. So this is actually how you can just play around with how you want to organize your data in the system. These are just examples. There's nothing, what I showed you is default available because it's easy to configure. So if it's either a bill of material, it's packaging information, it's DPP batch information, or other references to other products, we also have a solution running where a customer is having their own products, but there's actually a wholesale solution where a customer is also receiving products from their suppliers. And then there is a solution in place where they have their own products and they have linked to their own products. They have all their supplier products linked to that product because different suppliers will offer them the same product. And then they have a sort of a golden record solution inside the system as well to pick up the most relevant attributes from the supplier data and link them to their own product and to build your own product in the best way you can. That's actually a solution you can also create and build inside Perfion. And together with the automation part, it's very good to maintain this data as well. But there's always a solution to make it visible again for the users, and that's the powerful part of this situation. So that's what I wanted to show you. It's just a very brief demo of Perfion. I don't want to elaborate on that in a more deeper way, but that's maybe something for a next thing. So I will stop sharing my screen right now.
Perfect. I think hopefully I'm not lagging as I'm sharing my screen. I think for the first couple of minutes last time I was chopping in and out, but I feel like seeing a real life situation of what we've just discussed, a version of, Martin, is of course brilliant to see. And with a lot of the customers that we work with, the likes of packaging, the likes of bill of materials, the likes of complex product hierarchies and parent and child inheritance, whatever it might be, configurable by design. And I know that, of course, that's the name of the webinar, but configurable is something that isn't needed to be totally rewritten and created yourself. It's configurable because we've built a solution that can be utilized by anyone. But of course, many a time we have conversations about a lot of the same topics. We're configuring our features to design what customers are asking for on a day-to-day basis. And what you've just shown there is a real high level, of course, overview and whistle-stop tour of what's possible. But hopefully people attending the webinar have seen what is possible throughout the system accordingly, really.
Yeah, and I put in this last sheet you have there. Maybe you can go next sheet, Adam. So this is an example of the automotive industry. I showed you just some coffee demo part, but we also have customers using this setup to not only storing products inside Perfion, because products is actually the basics, but they also have a situation where they have car data from the market stored in the system as well, and then they link the products to cars. But they also need to store information on the relation between product and car, and that's also possible in Perfion. So you can have whatever entity you want, you can define it inside Perfion. And if you look to this particular example, they have an example of car information in the system, but they also have OE references coming from the market they need to have in the system as a different entity. And all those entity suppliers as well, they work together, and they together have a solution where which makes it very powerful to main your data, and not only products, but also other entities to store in Perfion. Actually, if I look to Perfion, it's of course it's a PIM solution. You can also see it as a data management solution. You can store whatever data you want, because at the end you can configure whatever you want. And that's what we see as a very powerful solution. It's always about product information, that's the basics. But if we see our customers sometimes also moving to store more data than only products, because these kind of relational data is very, very powerful. And it's sometimes hard to find the perfect solution for that as well. And if you can do that inside a PIM as well, that's really a powerful solution.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, so again, I think we're right on time, if I'm honest, Stephan. I think we've got a couple of minutes just to, of course, talk about the experience of working with, obviously, Martin and myself. I know a number of people who will be attending this webinar are from the Netherlands and surrounding countries, but a couple of reasons why, of course, Boyum and Sheph have worked so well previously. I think it's important to note having someone, a dedicated resource in your country. So, of course, the Netherlands, and Martin and his team are based in the Netherlands and have worked with many different companies over the years, well before I was part of the Perfion team. That experience, of course, comes from different implementations, different projects, different requirements, how Perfion as a solution, of course, Boyum having Perfion as one of its products within the suite can make sure that our partners have got the power in their hands for Martin to turn around to me and say, we think this is a really good feature, or I did this implementation that had a particular feature that we thought or should be within the system as standard, or there's a certain industry that I think Perfion is really well akin to. And what that does is allow us to have a flexible solution for a number of different industries, but of course have partners like Martin and Shep that have the experience to work with particular customers and particular needs and wants, really. And that flexibility from a partnership point of view is, of course, a flexibility from a product point of view as well. So we're creating a system for you, regardless of your situation, really. We work in the fashion industry, in the automotive industry. I have customers who sell hygiene solutions, pumps and valves, wine, spirits, dog food, whatever it might be. There's a number of different features within Perfion to suit a number of different industries. But what I think me naming those industries definitely says is we're not precious on who we work with. We work with people who want to get better product data and better processes, and of course, a better customer experience. And of course, through that, we develop a system that is powered by our partners and powered by our customers as well. So I'm conscious of time. We're running up to an hour on the dot. Stephan, I don't know if we have time for questions or we want people to reach out following.
I think the latter. But I think the presentation and the support of the presentation by the quick and targeted demo was very powerful. I think if you have any questions and you're listening, I did share Martin's and Adam's accounts, LinkedIn accounts, and their details there, so you can find them there. Maybe Adam, if people want to reach out, what would be the best place to find you? So you can find Adam using his email address, but also on LinkedIn. Martin, if people have any questions, they can reach you here on this email address. And I think you wouldn't mind a LinkedIn message as well. I think we saw a lot today. We had a very ambitious schedule. We managed to cram it all into just about an hour. But there's also loads more to explore. And I think I'd like to invite both of you, but also the audience to continue that exploration in a follow-up webinar where we will be diving deeper either on the AI part or the configurability part or the DPP and PPWR requirements part or whatever thing you want to see. So if you have any ideas that you want to discover further or deep dive on with Martin and with Adam, let me know either in the comments or just by reaching out to me directly. And we'll definitely cover that in a follow-up session. Which leads me to thank you, Adam, and thank you, Martin, for joining us today and sharing this peek under the hood of Perfion PIM. And thank you to the audience for joining us today, and hope to see you on either a follow-on webinar with Perfion, on one of our other webinars coming up this week and next week, or on our offline event that we're hosting in the beginning of October. Follow us on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Subscribe to our podcast on any podcast platform that you have. We have an interesting array of guests coming there as well. And hope to see you maybe in real life sometime as well. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Have a good one, and bye-bye.